Welcome to the Heart Rate Variability Podcast. In this podcast, we discuss the exciting science behind HRV and how you can apply it to your own health and the work that you do. Just a note, this podcast does not replace medical advice, and if you're going to apply this to your own life or others, please consult with a medical provider. Thank you and enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome again to the HRV podcast. It's been a while since we've been live. Matt, welcome. This is Jeff Summers, co-founder of Optimal HRV, with my partner, Matt. And Matt, we haven't spoken live for a while. We've had a great series back in the time machine.
Yes.
But we're here live at the end of March in 2021.
Yeah, well, it's good to see you on the podcast again, my friend.
I know. It's nice to be here. I've missed it. It's been too long. Great content that we wanted to share out to the world, and we thought that was important. But it's good to be back. I've missed it. I missed you.
Yeah, 75 degrees out. It was probably snowing last time we were talking. So
I know.
Yeah,
Vaccines.
spring is here. It'll probably snow in Denver tomorrow. But yeah, we got spring today, so that's a good sign.
That's right. As you can tell, spring skiing took its toll on my face. I apparently didn't put enough sunscreen on. I applied some, but clearly not enough. That's for sure. Vaccines getting shot in people's arms every day. Definitely a much rosier outlook than when we first started this podcast last year.
Absolutely. Hope to get my shot here soon. So I'm in sort of the everybody list, I guess. I checked last, I'm 46. I got to be. Nope. I guess that's a good thing, though. Hey, if my age group is still kind of the general public, I'll take that as a compliment. So I'll go with it.
You said it, man. Good stuff. Well, let's jump in. I mean, at the end of last series, it was the end of 2018. You obviously gotten a very good introduction into HRV and gotten into some really, heavy scientific discussion and research. And here we are almost a year and a half. A lot's happened in your world and our world around obviously HRV and how you've incorporated into your work, your day-to-day, and obviously the new company that was founded as a result. So I'd love to start with helping our listeners and viewers understand what the journey looked like from then until now.
Yeah, it was so interesting to go back and listen to all those episodes. I've kind of been interested in them, in the last 7-8 months. And just we'll save these for the show. And so to go back, one, I love Jerry and Kurt. Those two have just been so influential on my life. So it's kind of good to go back and listen to those podcast with them, and obviously especially Kurt, who got us on that journey. Just a whole lot of credit for where I am and where we are today. So that was fun, and it was just kind of fun to go through, basically starting out that podcast. I'd never really heard about HRV. I think I'd heard about it in a few books here and there, but never made my radar enough to even really Google it. So as our listeners have gone through that Wayback machine with me on those, it's really interesting to see yourself as somebody who's now written a book on the topic, be totally ignorant to what it is. I laugh back. I couldn't even say autonomic nervous system. I couldn't pronounce that the right way. I think it was the first episode of the series. So, that's kind of how I live my life is, go from 0 to 100 as quickly as you possibly can. But sort of where it left off, I had shared my experience with the Welltory app at the time, and was really interested in, starting to take my own heart rate variability readings. One of my frustrations with the Welltory app is I over time kept burning my finger on the phone reader. Like a lot about the app, don't get me wrong. But, the thing, Jeff, that I kept coming back to in the episodes, and it really foreshadows, sort of where we're at in this point of the discussion is, why isn't this a tool we can use? If this is something that really measures the impact of trauma, healing, social, emotional, cognitive, mental health functioning, why aren't we using it? This is like, so we talked about all this great research, and I was left, my cognitive dissonance was, this measures everything I've studied for the last, at that point, probably 16 years of my life, this pushing closer and closer to 2 decades of my life. And so, I've got a lot of good things to say about the Welltori app, and the callus on my finger is finally recovered from the phone reader burning it, a nice callus there for many months. Just that frustration was I couldn't really look at one of the existing apps out there and say to the folks that I trained, hey, this is a way to measure this. They weren't HIPAA compliant. They were made more for athletes than, kind of folks in services. So, it kind of left that is, there was some good individual tools out there, and I bought and tried pretty much all of them. I have a lot of relics. I know I handed some of them off to you.
Yeah, your gadget drawer is very full. Put it that way.
Exactly. I got a few $100. Don't tell my wife that, of readers in my drawer I'll probably never use again. But yeah, it just started this search, and the interesting thing is, even though I spent several $100s looking for the good solution, is that there really wasn't one. And so I was stuck with cognitive dissonance of, this is the thing that we need to be measuring, and yet, there was no way to do it. And that's sort of when we leave off that conversation, going into, I think the last one may have pushed into 2019, left me with a whole lot of interest and passion, and knowing my learning curve had to really accelerate, but without much place to go with it. So that I think the readers kind of saw my frustration starting to emerge, but also I think my interest in it as well.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And so, what have you seen in the last 18 months, call it, in the world and in this space, particularly for folks around their HRV, understanding of HRV, people that we're trying to help, where are they in this maturity curve of understanding what it is and deciding, yes, this is something I want on board, something I want to leverage, something that I see helping me with my day to day.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because heart rate variability is still something, as a lot of listeners of this podcast probably know themselves, is not a lot of people have heard of heart rate variability. There's not, and it's interesting. I think there's been a few things that have happened since. One is, I think a question mark is an Apple Watch, a Fitbit. Are you getting a decent HRV reading? And I think it's who you ask kind of gives you a different answer. I think if you go with the sort of hardcore folks, not going to say you should be, trusting that necessarily. But it's evolving in that way. I know you and I pay a lot more attention to this than probably the average listener does, and partly looking for a better device for our own. Excuse me, my dog wanted to get on the show here. That's tough.
It's typically my dog, so it makes me feel better that it's not Josie at this point.
Exactly. So, so looking for that device, and and we're looking for on our end the affordable device. We've got the Kaido reader, which is proven to be accurate, but hey, maybe you want to wear something on your wrist, that sort of thing. So I think technology is in an interesting place where we're still, when I had lunch with you back in the summer of 2019, where I kind of had exhausted all the existing apps out there as far as bringing this into sort of the helping and healing professions, is, I think I said, in 5 years, the technology is going to be there, but, there's a lot of good you can do in 5 years. Because all it needs is somebody to come around and do it a little bit differently. And so, I think the technology continues to evolve, because we may be just a couple years away. In fact, you're kind of seeing this is, integrated into cars, where you could start to measure heart rate variability. It's not a joke, because it's more of a thought experiment of, HRV drops in HRV predict 9 out of the 10 leading causes of death in the United States. The only one it doesn't predict is automobile accidents. And, I think you and I would both argue, with everything we know about heart rate variability, are you sure it doesn't? Because, or are we just not measuring it?
Just don't have the data. We just don't have the data.
So now that it's integrated, and it could be life-saving. So, pretty soon it may be in all of our clothes that we could measure this. Now, do you want a heart rate variability monitor in your clothes? Who knows? But, so it's this interesting time right now where the technology is not quite there. The applications are still kind of what they were when I got frustrated and said, hey, what do you think, Jeff? You want to do this with me? So it's like, it's this interesting time where I feel good that, hey, we saw this gap that in many ways, populations that needed this, whether it be the workforces in the helping and healing environments, or those getting services that had no way really to access this, coming into this area, still, again, we're filling that gap. So the next Matt Bennett, who goes through this nerdy exploration of heart rate variability, hopefully, can do a quick Google and find, hey, there is somebody doing this in this realm.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And we've seen it, honestly, even in the last year, which has been really exciting, and as far as companies go in the HRV space, we're one of the younger ones, certainly. Yeah. But we've had people from all different worlds reaching out to us saying, hey, this is great. I'm learning about HRV and I see potential here. And, that for I'm sure it started to happen in 2019, but even just the first 3 months of this year, we've seen it significantly more than ever before. And so, it's encouraging to me to see not only people reaching out, asking about HRV, but reaching out, the occupational therapists, the chiropractors, the wellness professionals, folks within police departments. Yeah. We're working with people in all walks of life now that understand how this can help their patients, help their, just the employees, whatever you want to, officers, all of the things that we sort of talked about when you and I first sat down over lunch in June of 2019. Yeah. I think the following, the awareness, the understanding is really happening at a rapid pace now, which I think is really exciting for all the folks listening to this who maybe have known about HRV for a long time. The other folks are starting to come around too, which is cool.
Yeah. And it's like, what I'm excited with about that too is like, we get to work with some of the early adapters right now. And if you're one of those people listening to this, don't hesitate to reach out to us, because the one thing that I love about the space that we're currently in is, being so young, having a great team around us, which our listeners will get to meet our team. We got some exciting announcements definitely coming up with the team we're building around this. It's just great to have the early adapters reaching out to us and sharing some of the frustration I have is, yeah, this app does, and again, I'm not putting down any of the apps that are out there because they all do their thing. And even though, well, Tori burnt my finger, it's one of the reasons was because I was taking like 3 or 4 readings a day, So, there is the obsessive
some user error potentially going
I
on.
was self-harming to some extent in there as well. Is like they do their things. The great thing is to be in this space, so early, and to have the focus that we do is, we got folks coming on and reaching out to us. It's like, well, how do we make this work in a chiropractic? How do we make this work for a occupational therapist? How are we going to bring this into a homeless respite center? And really, as we're in this, we've got the science. Our app works. Our app gives great feedback. We've got some really exciting releases coming up, which is hard not to talk about. But I heard you should tease it and not give it all away, which for me is really tough. But it's great to get feedback from our listeners that we can, and some of them go on a list that again, that we have to prioritize. But it's like, yeah, I mean, we had a great, I'll give Dr. Dave a shout out right off the bat as, what about a dark mode? I kind of wake up in the morning and, I want to take a reading before maybe my wife gets up, and the bright screen is, it's like, yeah, let's put that, on the list. And since neither you or I have to worry about doing dark mode, we can delegate it to somebody else and put it on there. It's always great to put something on somebody else's list. So, this is to me the real fun part. And, and just to give word of one of the big things that have happened since that ended is COVID. And I think it put a lot of our plans, just kind of put a pause on that. We were ready to launch with, I think 7 different organizations. We've launched with a couple of those in smaller ways, just because, priorities shift, obviously, in so many ways, just to survive. So innovation has been a little bit on the back burner for folks, but now folks are coming back to that. So yeah, it sort of opens up this great space that we're in to say, yeah, we have an app. We have an app that works. We have an app that we will look really different a few months from now with some really great innovations in it. And yet we're at a point where we can listen to people's, these early adapters' feedback to help really, have the flexibility to create the best app for folks that are really engaged in this. And as somebody who's never been in the tech world, hey, you give me feedback on my trainings. Yeah, I usually implement those very quickly. They at least get me thinking a different direction, and to see, this show up on, the updates we're even kind of pushing out this week. They're minor ones compared to some of the bigger ones that we're going to have. But, with the look, the feel of the app improving and taking these steps forward is really exciting.
Yep, that's important. And for those users that are listening, you will see a very new product this week. And in the coming 2 months, we're taking it light years ahead and really, taking it in some directions that we think everybody's going to be really excited about. So
yeah. And in a way that we can keep integrating your feedback. So keep reaching out to us. The more people we have using this app, obviously, the better feedback we get. And it's this fun, continuous, we talk about continuous quality improvement processes. And this is so fun because, unlike a lot of things I've been into where you're trying to change the system, we've got a great development team that we can say, hey, what about this? And it doesn't get integrated right away, but gets put on a list of continuing to improve a product that we know is already, fulfilling this need that I saw is, what about a therapist? What about an occupational therapist? What about a chiropractor? What about an institution? How do we integrate this as an outcome measure, as a way to measure employee health, especially during coming out of COVID? How do we get back to health and wellness? And so, yeah, like there's just so many exciting directions that we're going. And yet I think I'll look back at this stage with maybe some envy a few years from now to say, wow, we were just all, it was just like all this organic sort of amazing growth, with that. But it's a really good thing. And, if you're listening to this now, it's a great time. Reach out to us. We want your feedback. I shared my kind of growth experience. I don't think you have to become a world-class expert on HRV. If you're in the world of helping people manage or recover from stress and trauma, just start a conversation with us. Right. We're looking for folks to learn with right now. And it's just like, so I guess kind of my final piece of coming out of that is how cool it is to Jeff with you and with that team that our listeners will get to know because they're fun people at the same time. Over the next several months of episodes, it's like, how cool to see the potential in something, get frustrated. Cognitive dissonance in my field is there's this future I could see, but couldn't find a way to get there. And then just to have, first with that fateful lunch with you where you didn't, I remember the question, am I crazy or is there something here?
And my answer was yes and yes.
Yeah. and as you have known now, both of those are obviously true. But look, from there to now I have a way to, for the next person that comes across and has that same sort of cognitive dissonance is, boy, I could really implement HRV, in a homeless shelter, in an occupational therapist, in speech therapy, in music therapy. And hey, we've got a solution for, and you're helping me with the marketing thing. I for less than $1 a day, we can really measure everything that we've been talking about. And that's exciting that we've kept it affordable too. Now that's a lot of work on our part because, we're not taking any money from this product. We're just dumping it all back in. But that's the exciting thing right now is like, that we're keeping it at this affordable level. So, you don't have to charge your customers $100 a month, to implement our solution, that it's affordable for pretty much everybody. So, I want to go into all the other exciting things, but I will delay gratification there because, there's a lot of fun stuff right on the horizon too.
Yeah, in the next 2 months, a lot of great stuff. Yeah, and I would add, we've been involved with some really cool studies. Yeah. I think that's a really cool component of this, not just the day-to-day, but, folks out there doing studies that want to incorporate HRV as a component of measurement. It's been really cool to be involved in some of those as well. So it just continues to evolve and grow, and the product does as well. So again, to our users, you're going to get a notification. You probably will by the time by the time you see this, you'll probably have gotten that notification. Please let us know your thoughts. If there's anything that all of a sudden disappeared that you really liked, let us know. I don't think that will be the case. We've generally kept everything and just added to it and changed the look and feel and usability a little bit. But to Matt's point, support at optimalhrv.com. I would love feedback on everything. So
yeah, and I believe you'll be able to read my book on there and Jeff's forward and listen to the podcast. A lot of fun, exciting things. So love. You'll see that our development team has been really hard at work, and it's just almost a teaser for what is coming next. So exciting things, and it's good to be back with you live, my friend.
That's right. You as well. Yeah, I know we had a few heavy episodes in a row, so we'll kind of keep it light today, but we'll get back into more content next week. But in the meantime, we appreciate everybody's time listening to us. It's been a pleasure getting to know some of you. We hope to get to know more of you over the coming months and years, and look forward to next week, Matt.
All right. Take care, everybody.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for joining us for this episode. If you're interested in more information about HRV, please visit us at optimalhrv.com. Also, if you visit optimalhrv.com, you'll be able to sign up for our email list and download our free ebook, Healing with HRV. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next episode.